Picture the year 1692. In the small village of Salem, Massachusetts, a fear begins to spread. This fear, a chilling dread, was not of war or famine, but of the unseen, the unknown, the supernatural. It was a time when superstition was as pervasive as the air people breathed. The shadows held secrets, and the rustle of leaves was a whisper of the unseen. The villagers of Salem were no exception. Bound by their Puritan beliefs, they lived in a world where the hand of the divine was seen in every aspect of life, and the devil lurked in every misfortune. They were a community on the edge of the wilderness, isolated, and ever watchful of the forces that could undermine their sacred way of life. In this charged atmosphere, the ordinary became extraordinary, the explainable became inexplicable. A crop failure, an unexpected illness, a sudden death, all were attributed to the malevolent workings of witches. The fear of the unknown was so palpable it was as if the villagers could taste it in their food, feel it in their bones. In January of 1692, the fear took a tangible form. Two young girls, the daughter and niece of the village minister, began exhibiting strange and alarming behaviors. Fits of screaming, convulsions, and mysterious trances gripped them, puzzling the local doctor who could find no physical cause. The girls spoke of being pricked with pins, choked, and bitten. They saw apparitions of a spectral woman, threatening and cursing them. The villagers were gripped by a paralyzing fear. The supernatural had invaded their homes, their families. The devil was in Salem, and he was working through witches. The fear was contagious, spreading from house to house, person to person like a dreadful plague. In this crucible of fear and suspicion, the stage was set for one of the most infamous chapters in history, the Salem Witch Trials. The villagers, their minds clouded with fear, were primed to see witches in their midst, to root out the evil that had befallen them. As fear took hold, accusations of witchcraft began to fly. Among the villagers, whispers of witchcraft grew into loud accusations. Innocent lives were thrown into chaos. Imagine being an ordinary citizen of Salem, going about your daily routine, when suddenly you find yourself under the menacing glare of suspicion. You're accused of witchcraft, a crime that carries the weight of death. Picture this: a humble baker, Sarah Good, known for her delicious loaves of bread, is suddenly accused of causing illness with her baked goods. Her only crime? Being different, aloof, and misunderstood. The fear of the unknown, coupled with the villagers' deep-rooted superstitions, cast a dark shadow over Sarah's fate. Or consider the case of George Burroughs, the former minister of Salem Village. Reverend Burroughs, a learned man of faith, was accused of being the ringleader of the witches. The accusations were wild and fantastical, claiming that he could read a book perfectly at a distance too far for human sight, and that he performed superhuman feats of strength. His position of authority and influence, instead of safeguarding him, made him a prime target for the growing hysteria. Let's not forget the heartbreaking story of Rebecca Nurse, a respected elderly woman. In her 70s, she was known for her piety and good character. However, her age and wisdom did not shield her from accusations. Her life, once calm and peaceful, was suddenly filled with chaos and fear. In the face of these accusations, the accused had little chance to defend themselves. The community, caught in a grip of fear and superstition, was quick to believe the accusers. The stage was set for a tragedy of epic proportions. Lives were disrupted, reputations tarnished, and the fabric of the Salem community was torn apart. The accused, people just like you and me, were suddenly thrust into a nightmare. Their lives, their stories serve as a chilling reminder of the destructive power of fear and superstition. Their humanity and the tragic injustice they faced paint a haunting picture of a time when fear ruled and reason was cast aside. The accused were put on trial, their fates hanging in the balance. The stage was set for the Salem Witch Trials, a dark chapter in human history that would forever serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fear and hysteria. In the courts of Salem, justice was overshadowed by fear and superstition. The trials, held in the heart of the village, became a spectacle of panic and paranoia, a theater where the boundaries of reason blurred. In a world dominated by religious beliefs and superstitions, the court proceedings were far from what we understand as justice today. The rules of evidence were skewed, and the burden of proof was heavily biased against the accused. The accused witches were subjected to a frenzied form of interrogation, where their every word, their every gesture, was scrutinized for a sign of witchcraft. The court, a supposed bastion of justice, was transformed into a stage for the display of societal fears and anxieties. The trials were often swift and brutal, with the accused thrown into a whirlwind of accusations and counter-accusations. The judges, swayed by the fervor of the crowd, often disregarded the pleas of the accused. As a result, many innocent lives were lost, consumed in the fire of fear and superstition. Historians and psychologists offer valuable insights into the dynamics of the trials. They highlight the role of mass hysteria, a phenomenon where collective illusions of threats, real or imaginary, cause communities to spiral into self-destructive paranoia. This hysteria was fueled by the societal tensions of the time, the fear of the unknown, and the deep-seated superstitions that haunted the people of Salem. These trials were not isolated incidents but rather a reflection of a larger societal issue. They were an embodiment of the fears and anxieties of a society on the edge, a society grappling with the unknown and the uncertain. The trials were a dark chapter in the history of Salem, a period marked by fear, mass hysteria, and a complete disregard for the principles of justice. The courtrooms of Salem, once places of order and justice, were transformed into arenas of chaos and persecution. The trials ended, but their impact was far from over. The echoes of the Salem Witch Trials still resonate today, a grim reminder of the destructive power of fear and superstition. They serve as a stark warning of the dangers of mass hysteria and the importance of reason and justice in the face of fear. The Salem Witch Trials left a dark imprint on the village and its people. The trials ended as abruptly as they began. In late 1792, the tide of public opinion started to turn. Many began to question the validity of the spectral evidence used in court, and the frenzied accusations began to lose their grip on the community. By May 1793, the court had disbanded, and the remaining prisoners were released. The accused witches, once shunned and feared, were now free, but the scars of their ordeal were far from healed. They returned to a community fractured by fear and suspicion, a place where their lives had been irrevocably altered. The aftermath of the trials was a period of deep reflection and regret. In the years that followed, several jurors and judges publicly apologized for their roles in the trials. They admitted to being swayed by the contagious fear and superstition that had gripped Salem, a stark admission of the power of mass hysteria. And yet the trials left an indelible mark on Salem and its people. Families were torn apart, friendships severed, and the community's sense of trust and unity was shattered. The trials cast a long shadow over the village, a grim reminder of the destructive power of fear and superstition. But the impact of the Salem Witch Trials extends far beyond the boundaries of this small New England village. It is a chilling chapter in human history, a stark illustration of the devastating consequences of fear and suspicion. When we allow fear to cloud our judgment, when we let superstition sway our understanding, we risk repeating the mistakes of the past. The Salem Witch Trials serve as a powerful cautionary tale, a reminder to question, to seek truth, and to resist the lure of easy answers and scapegoats. As we reflect on the trials and their aftermath, let's remember the human cost of fear and suspicion. Let's strive to create a world where understanding overcomes fear, where empathy replaces suspicion, and where justice is not clouded by superstition. The trials serve as a stark reminder of the power of fear and suspicion. Today we remember the victims of the Salem Witch Trials and reflect on the lessons we can learn. In the heart of modern Salem, Massachusetts, stands a quiet testament to a dark chapter in history. The Salem Witch Trials Memorial, with its 20 granite benches each inscribed with the name of an accused witch, serves as a stark reminder of the tragic events of 1692. Each stone, etched with a name and date of execution, is a tribute to a life cut short by fear and superstition. They were mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, neighbors, and friends. Their stories, a painful reminder of the dangerous power of hysteria and the devastating consequences of unfounded accusations. Beyond the hushed echoes of the past, the memorial also stands as a beacon of hope. It is a symbol of the human capacity for growth, understanding, and change. From the lessons learned in Salem, we see the importance of questioning, of not accepting things at face value, and of standing against the tide of mass hysteria. The Salem Witch Trials were a disturbing manifestation of fear and superstition, but they also mark a turning point. They sparked conversations and legal changes that would eventually lead to a more rational and fair judicial system. They forced society to confront the dangers of unchecked fear and the importance of due process. Today, the Salem Witch Trials serve as a potent reminder that fear and superstition can lead to devastating consequences. They remind us of the importance of critical thinking, of questioning the status quo, and of standing up for justice, even when it's unpopular. The stories of the accused witches of Salem are not just tales of a time long past. They are lessons for today, reminders of the power of fear, the importance of justice, and the enduring resilience of the human spirit. As we remember the past, let us envision a future of understanding and empathy.